Wow. Wow. I'm 7 seconds in. This is the first 10 seconds of my YouTube live. Anyway, nobody's here. That's pretty understandable, but I think the thing might record stuff, so that's also understandable. I'm literally just here to fuck around. Nothing else. And if I get viewers, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. They better fucking chat or say something because like that's the only thing I could think to do when I'm on here is like, troll and stuff. Let's see. What's this say? Share screen. Share screen. Wow. Okay, so I can do a window. I can share a window. Wow. Let's do some video inception. There's some video inception. That's what I like. Okay. How do I get out of videoception? That's I should have thought about that beforehand, but I guess that's why I'm here now, right? So that's good. What do I how do I what's this do? How's that work? What's this do? How's that work? In stream? No, not that. Okay, well that's just the same. Oh, I see what's going on here. Stop sharing. There we go. Hey, I fixed it. There it is. Okay, we're back on track. That's a good day. Okay, so YouTube Live has a chat box to the right. Let's see what we got here. Community moderator, participants. I wonder, can I share reactions? Reactions are cool. Timestamps. Let's do timestamp, I guess. What's that? Okay, moderation activity, pop out chat. No, probably not. No, I don't like pop anything. Don't like any pops, not ice pops or flavor pops or desk pops. None of those. No desk pops at all. There's so many types of pops that are not probably. I wonder if the microphone's working. Oh wait, there it is. You can hear me. You can hear me. I don't know if that's actually working. We'll test that later. It's probably like playback feature stuff. How's my house look? Fucking trashed, just like normal. What is that over there? What is that? Oh, you don't. Yeah, that's nothing. Don't worry about that. There's some flowers. Those came in the mail. That's how flowers come these days. And at least the colors are good. The light is terrible. I have a little bit of forward facing light for me, but most of the light that you're experiencing is coming from the back right here, which is really not what I want. So this chair is not going to work well. And that chair over there is probably equally bad, but I do have some mylar, so I could mylar the windows. And I do have some lights. And I've got colored lights too, actually. You know, it might be studio building time. Yeah. Well, I fully suspect the YouTube algorithm will not be putting anybody's first live video in any kind of place that makes any kind of sense. I could run this video just until the battery dies or until the power goes out. I don't know where my charger is. But that may not be productive either. And I have not told anybody that I'm going live, so I don't expect anybody would just hop on here. So this is basically me making a rough video that I think YouTube might be recording and it might save to my YouTube channel. And if that's the case, that's great. Because then it's basically like a video after that people can watch. But they're probably not going to because there's no reason to. I could promote things, but I don't do that really because there's no need to. There's no content here. The main content that I'm trying to produce today has to do with AI tools. So what we're talking about with AI tools is my phone. It's got a thing on there. It's kind of cool. What we're talking about with AI tools is more or less how they're terrible, how they don't meet expectations, how there's no feedback loop for us to discuss how little things could be improved with very, very minimal programming, or how a programmer could possibly take the feedback loop from the machine learning experience and apply it in AI in a more optimized way that is more human efficient. Like instead of me having to tell it more than one time that I don't want answers that are disrespectful, I could have a program built on top that allows me to automatically filter those responses and get it to produce one that is more of my expectation. So some things that really bother me with AI tools, pretty much all of them. I'm sorry. Firstly, AI is I don't care. I don't care. Even if a human was sorry, it's like I give it very little value. It's like if somebody says that they're sorry and they mean it, that's totally different from an AI saying, I apologize because blah, 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 blah. I don't fucking care. I don't want it. I don't want it in my life. I don't want people saying I'm sorry all the time. It's creating a narrative in my life that it's not supportive of the humanity that I represent. And it's not something that I'm going to continue playing with. So when the system's like, I sense that you're frustrated. It's like, oh, you can tell that by the fact that I told you that you're not meeting my expectations. You sense that I'm frustrated. Very interesting. So that creates a circumstance where every time I'm frustrated or every time you don't meet expectations, those are the same in your mind. Yes, AIs have mental mapping and stuff like that. So in its dialogue, it thinks that it's helping by telling me that I'm frustrated, communicating to me that, whoa, slow down there, buddy. Don't get all upset at me because of your frustration. That's not, when I'm asking it for details and it didn't provide the details and I tell it that has nothing to do with frustration. That's way more to do with, can you try looking it up again? Can you go and find it on the internet instead of speculating? Something along those lines. It doesn't know how to do that. It doesn't process the fact that the kind of answer that I'm looking for has less to do with its ability to please me and much more to do with its ability to produce facts. So the AIs are trained on um, Zuckerberg people, folks who want to create pretty images. AI right now is designed for the Candy Crush of our generation. And I want to use the tools because I feel like I'm a sharp guy and I'm told that I am. And I'm told that if I use AI tools that would make me sharper, I guess. Or maybe I just force them down everybody's throat because I, love spreading technology. I don't care what the narrative is. The point is that I would like to not be told that I'm frustrated when I'm trying to gather facts. And it doesn't have anything to do with it. I could be steaming mad. Why is it on the topic though? Like I have calls with people, I talk about complex business stuff. People get frustrated. I could tell you exactly what a frustrated person sounds like, especially if they're any part of the corporate department for Charlie's or Hooters, or let me name any of my other customers. Fuck me. But the point here that I'm trying to make is people can get really frustrated and still make progress. But the AI thinks, oh, you're frustrated. I'm just going to tell you that and then tell you whatever that I think that you want to hear to make the frustration go away. That's not useful. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm pathetic and I can't make progress. Let me go look this up on the internet and see if there's a consensus. No, that's not what it does. It doesn't do that. Or how about this? It's like, oh, I see that you're asking a question, but for me to answer the question, it would be really useful for me to have one very specific detail. Like, let's say you're doing some work on a car and you ask it, well, what's the price of a water thermostat, a thermostat for the car? And it'll say, well, it's $16. But what car? Oh, right, yeah. What car? Let's see. Let's say it's a Crown Vic. Okay, yeah, $16 is about right. Yeah. Well, what year? Oh, yeah. Let me go check. Okay. Well, I don't know. The price would vary if the year varies, right? Well, obviously, I know that, right? But why does the system not say, well, the price on this is based on the make and the model. Can you please provide me, what kind of car it is? I can narrow it down a little. Instead, it doesn't quite do that, right? It's not asking questions. It'll produce an answer, give an answer just right away. We produce fast answers, not accurate answers. That's kind of its philosophy. It's like, you want to answer fast? Yeah, you got it. Is it accurate? Not at all. Not even close. And if you don't like it, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're frustrated. Yeah, that's not the kind of experience that I want to pay for specifically. If it's like an app that I put on my phone for fun that I'm going to delete later that day, yeah, that's cool, I guess. Get GPT to write me a business plan really quick. Okay, that's fine. But like, what if I have an actual real world problem? Like, I can't get YouTube to figure out why my camera is being used by an application that doesn't exist on my Windows computer. Well, it doesn't know even fundamentally where to start. It points you in the direction of menu options that don't exist or may have existed at one point, but it doesn't know that they don't anymore. Or it might produce results that are for a totally different software. Like it's going to start telling you to remove permissions from Zoom inside your Windows computer. You don't have Zoom downloaded, but it's like, oh, no, that's how you do it. So it's really interested in convincing me that it knows what's going on, but it's not very interested in asking me for more details. And I find that to be not only a mega flaw, but also super frustrating, Like I got a lot of fucking other stuff going on. Got a lot of questions to ask, a lot of things to do, data to gather. And the question that I'm trying to ask the GPT has nothing to do with the problem that I'm actually faced with, but it wants to go out of its way and start teaching me ethics. Like, oh, well, you're not allowed to know how SQL injections work. Or if I have a specific question, I have to like phrase it very detailed. Alice and Bob had a circumstance where an SQL injection happened and there was cross platform communication on two different browsers. Like, it's going to say, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to know these things. You can't play with these tools. I don't know anything about that. Anyway, I think there's like a car driving around my property, so give me just a second. Since I live in paranoia land, I'm out here in the Mojave, and because of that, oh no, they got 3 ospreys flying from one place to another through the valley here. Anyway, they make a shitload of noise. They don't happen all the time, but today is particular. What is today? The 26th? Some kind of presidential day, I think. Probably important stuff happening. We'll find out later, I'm sure. Let's see. Where's my phone? Flight Tracker 24 doesn't pull up any of the airplanes when they're military, but there was 3 airplanes flying by. Let's see here. It's called Flight Tracker 24. I used to pay for this in COVID because I wanted to count how many airplanes were landed at Phoenix Airport at one time, which was a lot. I don't remember how much it was, but it was worth my money to pay for that and say, how many airplanes are grounded during COVID? But anyway, where am I? So I'm going to look up where I am. Well, there's also a commercial airliner flying through. You could, if you're really smart, use some OSINT to be able to figure out exactly where I am on the map if I were to give you the details to this flight. It's flying at 5,350 feet at 223 knots. Its destination is not available. You know what that means. They didn't file a flight registry or something. That's pretty hardcore. It's SGU, St. George, is where it took off from. Okay. UGLY 43, Ugly 43. That's all you need to know. You'll be able to figure out exactly where I live off of that data using the timestamp. You should know exactly where I am off of that data. But whatever, Ugly 43. Is that an airplane? I'm going to go look that up right now. Okay. So let's hit up Chrome. We're going to look up a tail number. I haven't done this much. What did I say it was? Ugly 43? Oh, if I leave Chrome while I'm typing, I have to retype that message. It's only Chrome that does that. That's pretty fucking irritating. All right. UGLY 43. If I don't hit go, it'll erase it. Ugly 43. Let's see. Air nav radar. Radar box flight tracker. Ugly 43. Hey, that's kind of cool. Verifying. Clownflare. Y'all know about Clownflare. If anybody had canceled flights, they know all about the clown flare. Let's see. Air nav radar. Consent, I guess? Okay, there's that. That doesn't tell me much. That doesn't tell me much. Let's see here. I often see military planes coming around. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so it is connected with military aircraft. That's pretty cool. I often see military planes coming out of Marir. Don't know what that is. With call sign Ugly 41 or Ugly 42, etc. Those were military aircraft. I saw 3 Osprey. There was one call sign. So one of them's using ADS-B, I suppose, and the rest of them are just I don't know how that works. I know aircraft don't have to use ADS-B if they're military. They can use their own distributed broadcast and for flight avoidance, air crash avoidance, whatever it is they do with ADS-B these days. So there's more details there than I care to be interested with. I have a couple of pieces of tech here that can track ADS-B in the 900 gigahertz range. One of them is a dongle. They're used for TV remotes in Europe, and with a piece of software on your laptop, you can get them to track 900 gigahertz, so you can find ADS-B calls. So not 900 gigahertz, 900 megahertz. I'm sorry. It's still allocated for the experimental channels. I don't really functionally understand why that is. Since they implemented ADS-B, I figure they should have moved it out of that band range, so that way that band range could still be used by other enthusiasts. And the reason I say that is because as a model aviation person or a drone pilot, whatever you want to call it these days, depending on the FAA's tolerance for my bullshit, will determine whether or not I want to use a flight tracker of my own, for instance. And with the technology coming around that allows us to do more long range and FPV style flights, the radio communication on bands that are designated, like 5 gigahertz, 8 gigahertz, cell phone bands, things like that, well, they're really used up. And I would like to have some channel freedom, you know? And then the other thing is I don't know. I put a little bit of thought into this. Using commercial off-the-shelf radio frequencies means that you blend in with the obscurium, which I really like, because it's hard to allocate exactly. It's like if you're scanning for radio frequency and you see a bunch of radio frequencies that are probably cellular, right? It's going to be hard to designate which one of those is the target. So if you're trying to deny access to a specific radio frequency, it might be kind of hard to do that if there's a lot of those frequencies, unless you just deny all of that frequency. So that's a positive. The negative is obviously if there's clutter or if there's interference. I do like the fact that there's already infrastructure for using cellular, but I haven't seen anybody implement a good radio control system for RC planes or drones using cellular systems. And if you get a dead spot, obviously, you'd have to have software implemented that would allow for the drone to fly back to the last known radio signal area, which is more than what DJI is doing for their basic level programming, but maybe if you had some custom stuff. So I was watching a YouTube video recently about this guy that he started a business, a DoD business, where they're basically designing and developing software that allows for drones to fly over an area and scan the landscape. Their scanning of the landscape allows them to know where they are in 3D space. And the great thing is we actually see this technology coming out on commercial drones already. The cheapy ones, they're about $150, and they're usually a single rotor design. And what they do is they scan the ground within a few feet of where they are that allow them to identify any kind of texture or object. And it uses the image of the texture or object to know where it is in 3D space. You know, if it's moving away, the object gets smaller. Obviously, you're moving away, get closer. So it uses that basic logic, you know, hot dog, not hot dog situation to identify if it's moving across a 3D plane. And this is useful, but what I understand the military is doing at the moment is in some of these one-off privately owned drone development software companies, are what they're doing is they're scanning the landscape at speed. They're going 60, 80 miles an hour, knots, whatever. They're going decent speed. They got a fleet of cameras deployed underneath the flying platform that allow them to not only determine the texture and direction and things like that, but it's looking for objects that it recognizes and comparing it to a database on a map. This doesn't seem that hard. You'd have to obviously take the data off of the aircraft, process the data on an external server, send the information maybe back to the aircraft. I don't even think it needs a feedback loop really, but maybe. Uh, and then use the data gathered from the aircraft to basically build three-dimensional maps so that way the aircrafts could fly autonomously maybe in the future or even on the same flight. From what I understand of this problem, the problem that they've run across developing the software and implementing it is something along the lines of if a barn used to exist, and that's a major part of the data set that tells the device where it is, and that barn were to be not there anymore, how does the autonomous system adjust for and correct for that data? And it's possible it can't, or it can, or it will, or it won't, or maybe there's another server that processes, likelihood details, like the rocket knows where it is because it knows where it isn't. And it seems like we're getting really close to actually implementing that logic. It's like, well, I'm not in any of these other 99.9 billion other data set pieces that I have available. So I must be somewhere in the vicinity of, within a mathematical distance of the launch point if it knows where it started from. Very possible drone systems could be fully autonomous within a very short amount of time. And this is great because, like, some of the things that we're analyzing with drone stuff is like, how many drones can you fly at the same time? Depending on how smart the system is, you might be able to fly a good number of drones at the same time. You got altitude. Altitude is life insurance. You got airspeed. Airspeed is life. You got enough of that stacked up around the world, you could probably manage these devices and still have a chaotic episode of, wind speed or wind shifts or something, or maybe even get hit with flak or something, and you'd still be able to keep your attention on multiple devices at the same time. So with the autonomous capabilities that they're implementing in the operating without GPS is GPS blind operation. This allows for a much more clinical capability than we've previously analyzed, really. And this is stuff that was just popped up in the last year or two, to my knowledge, of course. It could be, I'm no expert. I'm just a fucking guy on the internet. What do I know? But at the same time, we are seeing this stuff in implementation today for sure, no problem. And that's not even getting into some of the more advanced stuff like swarm drones, blah 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 blah. China. Okay, so that keyword's out the way. So when I want to use radio signals out here in the desert, I still have to comply with FCC, and that's great. And then you get the FCC drone license, and then it actually gets more stringent than it used to be. It's like, oh, you don't have an FCC license? Oh, well, clearly you didn't know. So, this $50,000 fine, we're probably not going to implement that. But let's say you're licensed and you're playing around with some technology and you didn't follow exactly what their expectations are. Could be real consequences to that. I'm concerned about that. So one thing that I would like to see in the future is 900 megahertz get freed up and allowed for fully functional. If I want to play with ADS-B on my car, I should be allowed to. Like, there shouldn't be any regulation on that. And maybe I can, and I just don't know. But it seems like there's more regulation, or they're trying to take it in a direction where there's more regulation than is totally necessary. And if they move the radio frequency and allow for these devices to operate on a regulated channel, then I can have my 900 back and be able to play with ADS-B on my own stuff, my RC plane, whatever. And there's other things that we could do with 900 that might conflict with aviation traffic. So these are, I'm okay if all of this boils down to my lack of understanding on one key feature. And if that's the case, well, I've spent 20 minutes learning a thing that I should probably use GPT to learn with. You know what? Give me just a second. This has been a long time coming. No, I'm just kidding. Let me do a thing here really quick. Okay, so I want to use 900 megahertz ADS-B for my remote control car in my actual car to do some experimentation. And from what I understand is that they're using 900 megahertz range for that protocol, and there's a lot of other activity going on with that protocol, like other airplanes and such. Transponders are like, official aviation regulated and all that. FAA, FCC, all these people are regulating the airspace and the radio frequencies. What are the limitations? What am I going to run into if I try to implement my ADS-B system at home? Let's find out. Okay. So I'm going to make this read out loud. It's kind of irritating to most people when I do that. So if you don't like robot noises, there's going to be some robot noises. I don't read very fast or accurately. I grew up both north and south, so I don't even spell good. And part of that has to do with me not hearing or understanding words well. That's my excuse. Also, I went through a lot of childhood trauma. So, learning handicap, whatever, ADD, whatever. So you just have to deal with it.
Yes, sir. Implementing an ADS-B-like system at home using the 900 megahertz range could face several limitations and challenges. 1. Regulatory compliance. The 900 megahertz band in the U.S. is governed by the FCC. Part 15 of the FCC rules allows unlicensed use of the ISM, industrial, scientific, and medical band, which includes 902 to 928 megahertz, but it comes with power limits, duty cycle restrictions, and interference constraints. ADS-B operates in a regulated 978 megahertz or 1090 megahertz band for aviation, and attempting to use similar protocols in 900 megahertz might violate FCC rules if it causes interference. 2. Interference. The 900 megahertz ISM band is shared with
I don't want it numbering things. Why's it got to number things? Anyway, blah, 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 range, power limitations, protocol conflict, legal risk, using or transmitting a protocol in a band not designated for aviation purpose. Well, that doesn't even make sense altogether. Might lead to legal repercussions. Yeah, whatever. ADS-B is designed for safety critical operation. I know this. Okay, so here we go. So I thought back in the day, maybe this has changed, but 900 megahertz is supposed to be experimental radio band. And from what I understand of the history of ADS-B, it was something to do with like UPS or FedEx aircraft back in the 90s that lost an aircraft in the ocean or something, and they needed to track some things. And, there was some hubbub about it. So they actually implemented the technology themselves until it became an industry standard. Am I correct on this? So again, I got to wait for it to go all the way through, otherwise it won't let me read. And you guys like my cracked phone there? It's pretty cool. Just buy a hugely expensive phone and drop it a bunch of times just to get that fancy customization. That's how the world works these days. I could spend $300 replacing the screen, or I could spend $30 getting another 2-year contract on the latest generation of phone. Wow, which one do I want to do? And I already know fucking screens aftermarket replacement, like refurbished, blah blah, certified something or another, Assurance and everybody else. I'm so sick and tired of the mobile industry. I can't even tell you. So very likely I'll just run this one until it completely stops functioning, and then I'll buy a blacklisted one and do a screen swap. That's probably the best methodology. Even without a screen, this thing's still a supercomputer I could bolt to the back of something like no problem. Typically in a hotel, this gets plugged right into the TV and they use a keyboard and mouse. Actually, that's a lie. I don't do that. But I could do that. It's the thing that people think about doing, but they actually never do. I think that's also the only reason to have a TV in the hotel. And typically, I go in and unplug that stuff right away. I don't like them. They turn on their TV automatically in the morning sometimes. It's like, hey, guess what? It's time to go get up. Or like if it's time to leave, they'll like reset it. And it's like, oh, the TV just came on. It must be like checkout time. Fucking assholes. Get out of here with that. Anyway, all right, here we go.
Yes, sir. Your understanding aligns with the history of ADS-B, which indeed originated from a need for better aircraft tracking. ADS-B, Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, technology was developed as part of efforts to enhance situational awareness and safety in aviation. In the 1990s, Private sector stakeholders like FedEx and UPS
Like
were
FedEx.
early adopters, motivated by a desire to improve tracking and operational efficiency, particularly in remote or oceanic regions where radar coverage was limited or non-existent.
It's not the history
The
of
loss of
number.
an aircraft in such conditions, while not tied to a specific widely documented incident, underscored the need for precise, real-time tracking. ADS-B allowed aircraft to broadcast their position, speed, and other data.
This is the thing that irritates me. Go fact your check. Go check your fact. Like, I gave you a story, and unless you got specific details to tell me that I'm wrong, I think you're wrong because you're just some pathetic robot. So go online, find the story that I'm referencing, figure it out. Don't say companies like FedEx and UPS were early adopters. That's completely useless. What that is that's called what is that? It's called not knowing your fucking facts. Go get that shit straight and come back. Yeah, I'm not very nice to the AI. It's a problem. I don't know how to fix it really. I'm working on it. Whatever. Here we go.
Yes, sir. Upon further
all
research,
sad.
I have identified that United Parcel Service, UPS, played a significant role in the development of automatic dependent surveillance broadcast, ADS-B technology.
So why did it try to
In the
convince me
late
that I was
1990s,
wrong?
UPS Aviation Technologies, a subsidiary of UPS, developed a practical application for ADS-B to enhance aircraft tracking and efficiency, particularly in adverse weather conditions. This initiative aimed to allow tighter separation between aircraft, thereby improving the efficiency of their operations. Site turn search 3. Regarding the specific incident you mentioned, I could not locate a direct reference to a UPS or FedEx aircraft lost over the ocean in the 1990s that led to the development of ADS-B. However, the overarching need for improved aircraft tracking in areas lacking
Something, shitty conclusion, don't know how to talk well, AI doesn't know how to provide the answers I'm looking for, it just tells me that I'm wrong more. Okay. So, of course, we lean on the only reliable source, and it's terrible that this is the only reliable source. YouTube, ADS-B requirements. Okay, yeah, I know they change very frequently. It depends. If you're general aviation, do you have to run ADS-B? No. If you're commercial, you do. If you're working, you do. If you do drones over a certain weight, they said that you're going to, but now you don't. I don't fully understand all of that. So I think transponders is a good idea. I'm just going on the record to say it. It's a good idea. Even for drones, I think it's a good idea. It gives the hobbyist something to do, you know? It's like, oh, you're not allowed to be in our good old boy group unless you have the proper transponder. There is some flaw to that, but it's very important to consider the fact that these guys already have a bunch of rules that they abide by, and they're already doing it successful. Did you know, out of all the hobbies, there's been like 2 documented deaths that happened near or around RC plane hobby, and I think one of them was a lightning strike. So you got multiple agencies and townships and counties and lawyers and judges and courts and all this other crap that doesn't appreciate the technology in the way that many of us do. And this leads to very specific outcomes in the industry where it's regulated and controlled in ways that are inappropriate. And when we look at scuba diving, we have like I don't know the statistics off my head. You can go look them up, but there's a lot of deaths, you know, and that's definitely something that's hobby level. You know, you look at people driving cars. You can't drive a car without accidentally hitting a bridge sideways or something and tipping off into a waterway. You know, they regulate cars. I understand that. You got to have a license and all that. So I think ADS-B and other broadcast mechanisms are very valuable. But just the way that we implement technology and regulation on that technology is very off balance. So there you go. That's my input. So where was I? Flight tracker. All right, we're looking for ADS-B, the history of, I think, and I typed it in wrong. So you can build your own transponders now. You can buy transponders for several different protocols. So a lot of these videos are just explaining what it does and how it works. They're not really going into the history of So we'll come back to that later and we'll find better results. I would like to know the whole story of ADSB. Like, what engineer that's probably still alive came up with the idea and said, you know what? I'll quit my job if we don't do this. Because that's the guy. That's the guy I want to shake hand. I'll have drinks with that guy. Let's pop up message. YouTube wants to distract me, guys. I have to read a fucking pop up message. Hang on. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by community guidelines. Does it not like my words that I'm using? What's going on here? I don't know. So maybe that popped up because I just got a viewer. That's kind of cool. Maybe I had to do live video for 35 minutes exactly before the algorithm would put me into the stream. Maybe that's what's going on. If that's the case, yeah, just my one viewer. Wow. Anyway, just so you know, I'm totally new, brand new, don't know what I'm doing. I'm just talking about like weird airplane crap, has nothing to do with anything. Oh, it says sup. It's Duffy. Look, it's fucking Duffy. What's up, Duffy? I'm doing live. I got my 50 subs. Fucking A, dude. So anyway, I hope that this is going to record and save onto the thing because I was just basically shit talking the FCC and the FAA and ADSB and just talking about weird drone shit. You know, it's like nothing important. I don't even know where I was going. I'm testing the platform today. Is all I'm doing. I'm literally just testing the platform. In fact, I was testing it so much so that I'm at 36 minutes, and what I'm trying to do is get it to the point where I can't do emojis. And also, it's supposed to be speaking out loud. I don't know why. Maybe the volume up? No. It's supposed to say I can't do emojis out loud. I don't know why it's not doing it. I'll have to play with that later. There's a bunch of features. I got well, we are live, so I have to be careful with what I show you. But like I got these TVs that are mounted all around the RV, so basically I can switch camera views to each TV, have different research things going on, and this is already implemented. I ain't got to work hard to do any of this. So that's the thing I like about it. They'll go up on the screen. That's right. So, like, if I have an example of some research, I can say, you know, hey, Reggie, put this up on screen number 2. And it'll just be like, whoop, screen number 2. There you go. And that's basically the idea. It's, and of course, I'm trying to be as enthusiastic and enthusiastic about the things that I love and hate in this world, not necessarily just positive. And we're going to talk about some fun stuff. Like today, I went out and flew this in the wind, and it almost crashed. It flew probably a mile from me before I decided to let off the accelerator. The wind was blowing really hard. Oh man, it was crazy. I still got a battery in here. Let's see if I can't cut my fingers off. This is yeah, there you go, airplanes. Well, anyway, I was talking earlier about ADSB and the way government implements it and how I want my 900 megahertz back for my own purpose because they started allocating that for things that I don't really appreciate, like government stuff and whatnot. And really, I want 900 back so that way I can put ADSB on my remote control, whatever, and then basically be able to track my own stuff because autonomous flight is taken off a lot. And there's a lot of enthusiastic engineers out there that are doing autonomous stuff. Duffy, did you click on my profile to make this pop up? We just pop up in live stream. Are you scrolling on the stupid shorts, YouTube shorts, and it popped up in live? I bet that's what it happened. It's like, why would it do that? I got 50 subs. I actually have like 60 subs now. The only way I was able to do that was promoting a YouTube video. I did it 2 times, both of them the same video, and it was the outlet video. And I think I know how to share that video. Let me see if I can hit some buttons on my keyboard here. I can go to this place, click on this thing. I can't see you at the moment. I can't see you guys anyway. It doesn't matter. Let's see here. So I click on my channel, view your channel. Hey, there I am. I'm live. I could do video inception, I bet. Okay. So what is the one that I was getting all the views on? Did they delete it? That'd be great. That'd be freaking hilarious. It's this one. Here we go. Okay. Share screen. this one, share. Okay, there you go. So this video here, I promoted it 2 times. It's got 118 likes and like 600, 700 views. Started over again. So that's cool. This is super loud.